I bolted awake at 5 a.m. to the thunder of heavy machinery rattling my entire house, only to discover that my insane HOA president had orchestrated the digging of a massive trench around my whole property overnight, effectively caging me in like some kind of convict. Imagine a vicious 6-foot deep ditch completely encircling everything I own, piled high with sloppy Georgia red clay that made it impossible to reach my mailbox, drive my car out, or even leave for work without scrambling over filthy mounds of dirt like an escapee from a nightmare. They had snuck in under cover of darkness, the air thick with diesel smoke, shovels grinding like tortured screams, and excavators snarling as if they were digging my grave. Patricia Thornfield, the tyrannical real estate agent who ruled Willowbrook Estates like her personal kingdom, had bet everything on scaring me out of the modest ranch house my grandmother had left me. She figured a broke, divorced electrician like me couldn't possibly stand up to her HOA empire. What would you do if you woke up trapped in your own yard by a power-crazed neighbor? Hit like if you're ready for the revenge. Drop your wildest fantasy payback in the comments. And let me know where you're watching from, because this saga is about to completely demolish her reign. Let me take you back and explain how I ended up in this insane situation, surrounded by a psychotic real estate agent with a god complex. My name is Marcus, I'm 45, and I'm just an ordinary electrician who lost almost everything in a brutal divorce, except for this little 2,000 square foot ranch house on 3/4 of an acre that my grandmother willed me 2 years ago before cancer took her. This place was my lifeline, mortgage-free, surrounded by $500,000 McMansions, needing a ton of work, but full of memories. Weekend mornings smelled like sawdust and motor oil from my slow restoration projects, mixed with the wild honeysuckle along the back fence that always reminded me of childhood visits to Grandma when life still made sense. I was living paycheck to paycheck, pouring every spare hour into fixing it up to honor her memory, while keeping a roof over my head. The stress of starting over at my age had me waking up at 4 a.m. most nights, but this house was my anchor. Then I crossed paths with my neighbor from hell, Patricia Thornfield, 52-year-old real estate agent who treated Willowbrook Estates like her personal fiefdom. She lived in an $800,000 colonial across the street, with landscaping so artificially perfect it looked like a funeral home display. Her BMW sported vanity plates because subtlety had died along with her conscience years ago. The 2008 housing crash had nearly destroyed her, bankruptcy papers, foreclosure threats, and it twisted her into someone obsessed with property values and standards. She clawed her way back to wealth, and now saw any hint of decline as a personal attack. As HOA president for 8 years, she'd built a network of power that would make a mob boss jealous. Husband running the most connected law firm in town, brother-in-law on city council, control over multiple boards, and dirt on half the planning department. The war ignited with a violation notice slapped on my door like a parking ticket from hell. Commercial vehicle violation, lowering neighborhood aesthetics. My offense? Parking my Ford F-150 work truck in my own driveway. I researched the bylaws like any reasonable person would. Right there in black and white, work vehicles under 10,000 pounds were explicitly allowed. Mine weid chasse virgula sutepuns. Case closed, right? Wrong. I politely raised it at the next board meeting, printed bylaws in hand. The room reeked of stale coffee and her suffocating Chanel perfume as I quoted the exact language. Silence fell. Then Patricia, voice dripping venom, said, "Perhaps you don't understand what it takes to maintain property values in a quality neighborhood." The way she sneered quality while eyeing my work boots told me everything. This wasn't about rules. It was about a classist who couldn't stomach a working-class guy in her bubble. Her manicured nails drummed like a death march while board members squirmed. A divorced tradesman had just publicly schooled the queen bee. 2 days later, city code enforcement showed up with the same bogus complaint on different letterhead. Patricia had filed a false report claiming multiple neighbor complaints. That night, a suspicious car started making slow passes by my house. Neighbors who used to wave now avoided eye contact. Mail arrived damaged or late. The psychological warfare had begun. Weekly violation notices followed like clockwork. grass 0.6 inches too high, measured with a ruler, microscopic paint scuffs, my tarp-covered restoration Camaro labeled an abandoned vehicle eyesore. Each $150 fine came with $500 appeal fees. Financial quicksand meant to drown me fast. But Patricia underestimated me. She assumed a broke electrician couldn't fight her machine. That's when I started documenting everything, becoming my own investigator. I discovered Georgia's Fair Housing Act prohibits selective enforcement based on economic status, with federal penalties up to $100,000. I spent weeks photographing every property. Mrs. Patterson's mansion with grass twice the allowed height, Johnson's fence 6 inches over limit, Bradley's landscaping trailer park for years without citation. Selective enforcement was blatant. Then she escalated further, calling police on my legal repairs, claiming noise, only for my hidden professional-grade night vision cameras, installed after a midnight inspection, spooked me. To capture her coaching a neighbor on exactly what to say, timestamp proving my tools had been off for an hour. I presented this at the next board meeting. The projector lit up with photos, audio, stats showing my citations were 400% higher than anyone else's. Panic flashed across Patricia's face beneath her expensive makeup. Board members shifted uncomfortably. I concluded it was targeted harassment based on economic discrimination. The room went dead silent except for her heavy breathing. She whispered a threat as I left. Some people don't understand quality neighborhoods. That night, I upgraded my cameras with cloud backups. Something told me the corner queen was about to go nuclear. Her retaliation hit hard. Main breaker killed during a heat wave, spoiling groceries and frying my business laptop. Police shrugged it off as kids. Then tires slashed, gas sugared, permits delayed, anonymous complaints to my licensing board. I used Georgia's Open Records Act to uncover her shadow campaign through City Hall, emails discussing undesirable elements, and making me uncomfortable enough to relocate to a more appropriate community. Bigotry in writing. Then came the black sedan from a shady security consulting company tied to her family, paid with HOA funds, embezzlement over $40,000. The grandfather clause in Grandma's 1960 original covenant was the final nuke. My 1962 house predated the HOA, exempt from aesthetic/vehicle rules under Georgia law. No jurisdiction over me. Every fine, harassment, illegal. It applied to 17 other properties too. Families bled dry for years. Federal RICO, civil rights violations, mail fraud, bribery, witness intimidation piled up. Hidden cameras caught her directing the trench dig. Dig it deep enough that he feels trapped like a rat. She filed false restraining orders, forged liens, planted evidence for condemnation, bribed officials, spread cyber smears, even got me suspended from work. But I built an airtight case with allies. The HOA treasurer flipped. A reporter daughter recorded her drunken coffee shop confession of class hatred. At the packed HOA meeting, I projected the footage, financials, her words, "Working class trash doesn't belong." The room erupted. FBI agents walked in, handcuffs clicking as they arrested her for federal crimes. News vans captured it all. Patricia got 18 months in federal prison, probation, $150,000 restitution, license revoked, family bankruptcy. I won $185,000 settlement plus fees, expanded my business, started dating the reporter, turned the trench into a community garden. Neighborhood reformed with fair enforcement. I set up a scholarship fund for trade school kids. So if you're trapped under HOA tyranny, document ruthlessly, research your rights, build support, and fight back. Drop your HOA horror story in the comments. We're stronger together. If you love seeing corrupt bullies get what they deserve, smash that like, subscribe for more David versus Goliath justice stories. Evil only wins when good people stay silent. Justice takes time, but it's always worth the fight. That's all for today's HOA Madness. See you in the next one.